The cost of not taking action is always going to be way bigger than the cost of failing. Doesn't matter how big you fail. Doesn't matter how much money you lose on an idea. It simply does not matter. The bigger the failure, the better the story anyways. A fail and succeeding on something is as interesting. It's just something that you take with you. Every success and every failure is as valuable to your long-term path. There's not a real cost to failure. There is a cost of inaction. There's a huge cost to not trying something or not doing something. What it will cost you is the life that you wanted to live. The cost of inaction is going to cost you your dreams. A lot of people out there are just like scared and they don't take the risks that they should be taking in order to get the life that they want, in order to really like go after their dreams. And it's such a simple concept. That's why there's so many movies about it, you know? A person that wants to do something and then their environment is saying don't do it, choose the safe route, and then when they reject that, they kind of liberate and they become the person they're supposed to become. Everyone has their own path, including you. And if you have these, that's the thing, no one has a very clear vision of where they have to be. So that's why people also don't really want to take a shot, because no one is really 100% sure if the thing they want to try is really for them. But you don't know unless you try, right? You have to start walking and then the path will appear. No one has a clear path and then they just have to walk that path that's already there. You have to create your path by just walking in the dark and just doing stuff, you know? Even if you're not that passionate about something. I wasn't passionate about advertising, that I was gonna start an advertising agency and gonna do sales for my own offer and all these things. Like, I wasn't thinking about these things when I was 16 years old. That was never my dream. But it is now. It kind of, you develop a passion when you are really like working on something, and when you become more and more familiar with a certain subject and you know more and more about it. Like advertising, who would have thought that advertising would become, I would say, almost my passion, you know? I'm like obsessed with how you can get better results for certain creatives, and this is all like human behavior, and you can test it on like a mass audience, on who is reacting to what type of creative element in what way. It's not an exact science. It's something that you develop and fine-tune over constantly testing, and it's changing in this world. Like what's working now is not going to work anymore in a few months, and that's so fascinating to me, right? And that really became a passion for me, because I started to know and learn and understand so much about it. But for an outsider, it's such a boring concept, and it was a boring concept for me too. It was boring for me when I got started with it, but for me it was just like interesting to see like, okay, this is something that I think I could do this, and it's interesting enough to give it a shot. It does carry a risk of starting a business and maybe wasting a lot of time on something that's not going to work. But that's the exact risk that you have to take if you want to get somewhere. And if you don't take that risk, the cost is so high, not in money, but actually yes, in money, and the cost that, in maybe the money that you're missing out on, because if you really like take a risk, big fortune is always on the other side of risk. Big success is always on the other side of risk or sacrifice. You always have to risk something or sacrifice something in order to get a disproportionate amount of reward for the value that you're offering. And that's what you want, right? That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be financially free, this and that, but no one wants to risk anything for it. And that's just not how it works. If you don't want to risk anything, then you're not going to get anything. So the cost of inaction is the cost of the money and the big fortune that you're missing out on, because if you never take action and never risk anything, you're not going to get that reward that you possibly could have gotten if you took more shots, or if you failed faster, or if you tried more things. So that's why you have to keep failing and keep trying things, because I believe for every single person at some point, if you keep knocking your head and you keep falling on the floor and you keep, at some point something is going to stick, and that thing is going to make you a lot of money and a lot of success, right? You just have to have the balls and the courage and the faith to get to that point where you actually fail enough until you get to that point that you find that one thing that you're very good at and that actually works for you. And so I found that thing, and I would have never found it if I would have listened to what the society is signaling all the time. Like, go for something safe and study first and get yourself a good job. Get yourself a job first and then do something on the side. I mean, it might be good for a lot of people that they first get a job and then do something on the side, because of course risk also means that things can go very, very, very bad, which I don't think is a really bad thing. But if your personality is not strong enough, then a very big failure might really break you. So in that sense, that advice, depending on the type of person you are, might not be good advice. But for me, I was always like, having to get a job was for me the ultimate failure, and that's what I wanted to avoid, and that's why I never had a job. And I was failing at things constantly, right? And I was really failing at shit, and I was really like often in a position where I was like in a very bad position on many, many, many different levels. But you have to go through that. And I was in a position where maybe a lot of people would have said that, oh, fuck it, this is not gonna work, this is never gonna work, this whole starting a business without any experience, I'm gonna get a job and get experience first and this and that. But that would have been the bad decision for me, right? Because I would have never made as much money as I'm making right now if I would have just gotten a job, or if I would work a job right now. I cannot imagine any job, almost any job in the world that I, at my age, can now make more money with in a corporate setting working for someone else than I am making right now for myself. And that is all because I did some weird shit that no one else really was believing in, you know? I had people in Belgium who were telling me, like, when I started, when we shifted the agency to Dubai and actually started my company here, there were people telling me, like, why don't you just go work there and do that company on the side? That's way better and smarter, right? Because now you have this risk of, like, yeah, you're almost running out of money, and then what? Then you're gonna be in trouble there in that country. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. Now it's even more important. Indeed, the risks are even bigger. And I kind of like that, because I knew that it gave me this fuel of having to make it happen. And that's, I think, what everyone needs. You don't need to treat reality so seriously. Nothing is important, as I went deeper into in my last video. Nothing is that important, right? You're gonna be surprised if you detach from everything, and if you reduce importance, you're gonna be surprised how all of a sudden things go easily. When you start worrying about things, or when you start wanting to have everything in your control, that's when bad things are gonna start happening. And that's when you start getting into this tunnel vision of bad shit and anxiety and worries, because that's what you attract at that point. Inaction costs you the reward that you could have gotten if you took the action, and the inaction also costs you your dream life. The life that you were supposed to live. That's what you're sacrificing if you don't take any risks and if you don't take any sacrifices. If you don't take any risk, you take the ultimate risk and you bring the ultimate sacrifice, which is risking and sacrificing your dream and your future. The future that was meant for you. And that is very, very, very hard to accept when you already are way too far down that path of not taking action. That people need to cope and need to say that the life that they're living is their dream life and everything is fine and good as long as they can get drunk on the weekends. Because I get it, I 100% understand it. I would feel horrible to having to see and be confronted with that truth every single day, that I kind of sacrificed the best possible life for me because I didn't want to fail, or I didn't want to look cringe, or I was worried about what other people were gonna say. Everyone we know, everyone that's driving around here, everyone in the world, your entire family, everyone you know, all your friends are gonna be dead within this and 100 years. Everyone is gonna die. We are a fraction of a second in the existence of this entire universe. Think about it. The time that humans have walked on the earth, it's a second in the universe. It's a split second in the universe. So honestly, really what you're doing, it doesn't fucking matter at all. Life is an experience, and you just have to experience it to the fullest. And how can you not experience it to the fullest if you don't live a crazy life? Having a lot of failures and a lot of successes, big ups and downs, that's what makes the human experience so full and intense. If you just choose to not risk any of the downsides, you're not gonna have any of the upsides either. and then you just live this flatline life. You're also gonna die anyways. So you might die with a lot of problems and a lot of successes and an interesting story, than die with nothing. So think about what it's costing you if you don't take any action. Take action right now. If you have a business idea, just do it. If you have any type of idea, fail at it, fail faster, fail forward. If you want to make content, if you want to look stupid into the camera like I do every single day, just do it, just try it, just try it, because at least even if things don't work, like a lot of this shit is obviously not working for me, at least it really builds your calendar and it builds so many skills, right? At least if you try things like speaking into a camera, you're gonna look cringe in the beginning and gonna look awkward, and a lot of people want to have the certainty, is it gonna work out? You wanna be certain that it's gonna work out, and only if you're 100% sure that it's actually gonna work, then people wanna start with it. I also see that in my work, right? My potential clients. A lot of people, especially people who have businesses, who have struggling businesses, I speak to more than 5 business owners every single day in Dubai and in the United States and some in Europe as well. And there's a big difference between business owners who are very successful and business owners who are not successful at all. The ones that are struggling the hardest are always the most skeptical, and they are always the ones who want to make sure that something is going to work, that our system is going to work, before they want to put any money on it, before they want to invest in it, before they want to take this action to something better, to an opportunity. We're offering an opportunity, right? We're offering a service that can grow your business, okay? We need your input as well. But if you already enter something like that with the mindset of like, I need to know 100% sure that it works before I commit myself to it, that's the exact same problem as anyone else has. That's what's gonna happen, right? Then in the end, because you're not 100% sure that it's gonna work, because of that, you're not gonna take action. That's why you don't start that business. That's why you're not gonna take that route. That's why you're not gonna make this decision. That's why you're not gonna post content online, because you think that there's a slight chance that it's not gonna work, and that for you is a good enough reason to not do it. If you are looking for a reason to not do something, you're always gonna find a bunch of reasons. You're always gonna find more reasons to not do something than to do something. That's why most people aren't doing shit, But the thing is, the beautiful thing is that it doesn't have to work out. It's not a loss. It's not costing you anything if it doesn't work out. It's the opposite. It is a benefit even if it doesn't work out. And that is the thing that most people don't get. Even if you post all of that content and you do it for a year and you post every single day and it's not gonna get you anywhere, which is very unlikely. Let's say that you do that and it doesn't work. You still have developed the skill of speaking into a camera like I'm doing right now. I couldn't speak into a camera like this like 3 years ago. I was super awkward and I was constantly thinking about what I was gonna say, and now I just treat it like a person. It doesn't fucking matter because I know it's not fucking real. It doesn't matter what I say into this camera. It doesn't matter. So now I'm very natural into the camera because this is a real me, You just have to find the real you, and it's gonna help you find the real you if you fail at things and if you try things. And guess what? I didn't need to get millions of views before I figured this out. Like now, even if this never brings me anywhere, this particular video, even if it never brings me anywhere in terms of like views and results, it did add on to my experience, my skill, and my journey to becoming the person that I want to become. Everyone wants to be able to get good at things, get good at selling themselves, at selling things to people, at this and that, becoming more confident, blah, 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 blah. So every risk that you take is going to be a net positive to your journey, 100%. It's never going to be a total loss, even if you fail at a business. You think that if you lose everything, you lose everything. And if you worked on something for, let's say, a year or 2 years and then it fails and it doesn't work out, everyone thinks that it costs them these 2 years. But that's not true. These 2 years are probably more valuable than you working a job for 2 years, because you have this linear experience in working a job. So many other risks that you can take, so many other things, your own path that you want to try, right? Becoming very big at playing an instrument, becoming an artist, Just do that, because the character development that you're gonna get from that, the confidence that you're gonna build from it, even if you fail, is such a net positive. It's so good for you, and it's gonna bring you so much further if you just waste 2 years on failing at things than if you don't try it in the first place and then actually also just waste 2 years on doing something that you don't want to do. Because to be honest, let's be honest, if you work for 2 years for something that is not aligned with the goal or the life that you're supposed to live, that is way more wasted than if you wasted your time on failing at something. So if you're like, I don't know if I should try this, I don't know if I want to do these sales calls for my offer, I don't know if my offer is good enough, maybe I should work somewhere else first, maybe I should study a little bit more, maybe I should plan a little bit more. That's all bullshit. That's all BS, and you know it. You don't need to try more. You have to fail forward. That's where you're gonna get the most experience anyways. You don't need to be experienced. Just sell your service, sell your shit, make your product. Doesn't matter. Launch it when it sucks. Launch everything when it's not good. It doesn't fucking matter, because then you get feedback faster, you can fail faster, and you'll get it along the way. All this whole planning and preparation is BS. People that are making business plans and making plans to plan something and plans and announcements to do something in the future, you're not doing anything. You're doing nothing. You can start a business today. You can do everything today. You can build shit today. You can get clients today. What you want to do in 1 year, you can also do that in a day. Maybe a bit exaggerated in some cases, but that's how you have to look at things. You can do stuff immediately, and you just have to do it. And you have to be excited to fail. Failure is what's gonna get you there. So just fail forward, because this whole thinking that you're gonna fail and then not doing it, that's the real failure. Start that business, release that song, make that video, and watch how your life is gonna be so much better, and watch how you're gonna grow old and not regret anything because you tried everything.